The third responsibility of a woman is to evoke the highest latent in man. The definition of that word is existing but not yet developed or manifest, hidden or concealed. So a lot like some of us are born with an esoteric, mystical sense about us, so hidden knowledge. So just so you know, latent means to bring something out in man, which goes along with the divine, the feminine and the masculine energies. And then it goes all the way back to what I was talking about, partnerships, choosing your partner, if it's a man or a woman, or if you're a man and a man, or woman and woman, or however that works out. It's not about just the physical, it's about the spiritual aspects and the energies another individual embodies, to bring out those energies for your duality, and so you can be balanced in your energies. Responsibility of the woman does not end only with her child. If she has a husband or wife, or vice versa, if she has a man or woman, vice versa, around her, what is she going to do? Is she going to evoke or bring out the best in the man year after year? And I'll just stop there for a moment. So when it comes to partnerships, and then especially spiritual ones, having to do with the twin flames and soulmates, all around, you want to be someone in someone's life where y'all are able to create that synergy, just like going back to the partnerships, where you all can, you know each other's strengths and weaknesses, but then knowing how to help that individual develop them in a healthy way. And then knowing that you're not that one to do that for them, but then also knowing where to find that individual to help that individual. And I'm going to put emphasis on this because there were individuals that, and some spirit guides that didn't, whatever version of me they thought they knew, was an outdated version on many timelines. And so whether it was spiritual or three-dimensional, there was a lot of misunderstanding in the spirit in the beginning of my journey. And so just hold on just a second. So weird. It's a whole squirrel. Dang it. Sorry, I got distracted. There's a cop car that went by flashing its lights, and ADHD got the best of me. Okay, so just bringing out the best in your partners and growing together, and then knowing where to seek out that growth, or point them in the right direction in a healthy way. And then having a good spirit about the growth, not I don't even know if I even like the word. I don't even know if I like constructive criticism in a word anymore, just because of, I feel like it had its moment and it went from criticism to constructive criticism. And I just don't even like the word criticizing, just because of past energies from the word. And I'm really big about words and how their existence is in some ways. Like, I wish the word hate was just taken out of the dictionary and erased from existence. Like the word jealousy, I wish that one was erased from existence. So then, it really, if there's a feeling, someone's really forced to, figure out a different way to explain it, and make it not jealousy, so it doesn't attach to the past. It's kind of like cutting cords, but with words, because words are spelling. So, I'm just really, it's like a quirk, I guess, of mine, but I got that word from another reader. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I have said on this channel about every year I'll pick something to develop on, and so not just for yourself, but because it's really not your place to pick what someone needs to develop, unless you're well versed in something, or you've had an actual sit down with that individual and you've gone over things in depth. And sometimes it doesn't happen in one sitting. Sometimes it just takes a few more, and that was a challenge I had with a lot of people, because the things I try to develop in are things that just a lot of people pick a narrative, and it's very societal program narrative. And so when I was asked these questions before, like, what do you want to work on, because I was already doing it, so they picked up on my energy of, like, I already pick something every year. This is before I even said anything about it to them, that I pick something to develop on myself. It's like, instead of making a New Year's resolution, like I'll go to the gym, I'll find something intellectually that stimulates me, because I ain't gonna be out here getting Alzheimer's, that is for sure, or dementia or any of that. And when you intellectually stimulate your mind, you prevent things like that, like crossword puzzles and word searches, anything that makes your mind having to do something with the puzzle. It prevents a lot of those older, or cognitive disabilities, that most elderly will have. Because a lot of us ain't gonna be eating all healthy all the time, which is another cause of it. But just try to pick something every year, kind of as a New Year's resolution to develop on. And it doesn't matter what it is. You just start small. You'll be done with it in a week, but at least you could say, I did this for myself. This year I did this for myself. And if you want to pick more than one, that's okay. You can do it however you want to do it, however your soul's guiding you to do it, however your spirit guide's guiding you to do it. But I would just say, be careful in some things. Just and I'm not gonna know what that is for you, but in 2022 I got into a lot of different things, but I was trying to develop in United Nations agendas and works and things like that, and that got crazy. And then I just, like, my brain was going 90 to nothing, and it was insane, because it got a little out of control, and there were a lot of rabbit holes, and it was like, I felt like I was experiencing, like, the rabbit holes of Pinterest, but, like, times 50, if not worse, and, like, it was, a lot, but yeah, as a third responsibility as a woman, you just want to evoke the highest latent in anybody, and that goes back to the other one about developing, and there's the children part, but adults as well. But there has to be consent. There has to be consent. There has to be consent. You can't just be out there trying to push lessons on people that don't need it. There are some situations, mainly for the chosen, and you'll know if you are or not. Like, the Spirit will come through and you will see the signs that let you know you are one of the chosen, which is what happened to me. And I already had this inner knowing since a child, but I just didn't have the vernacular. But I always knew I was connected into something, like a direct connection to divine source. Like, I've known that about myself, that there was a very direct line. How other people got involved in there, I don't even know. There was something, a cosmic collision, that created some mess. But you'll know, though, in some of the chosen, like, that we get the harder ones where we really have to assert ourselves, but there's a certain tactfulness you have to use. And there are some people I've known that, well, there's only like one other one I know, I mean, other than Valerie, but it's like, just, there were people that had, went with the law of assumption, and the law of assumption, I kind of don't like it, but I'm learning to be more okay with it. But the way people were using it, they were using it against me and making those assumptions about me, and it wasn't even the things they were trying to project at me as learning lessons, and them assuming they were, the chosen, and there are dark and light in those things. I'm not going to get into that, but just, they because they didn't, they knew past versions of me, even though it was a lot like the same. And I remember stating that over a phone call, and I later found out what that phone call really was and who I was really talking to on that phone. But they're saying how I haven't changed, and I was like, nope, I really haven't. But there's so many different things about a person, especially when you're someone that leads with your heart. There isn't a lot that changes with that, just because when it's set in good intentions, it can create a lot of different things. So whenever someone said that about me, and I responded back with, yeah, I haven't changed much, I'm still me, I'm still the old me, I didn't know I should have I should have specified that my heart's the same as it was before, and it's where it's at, where it was before. And and it's grown a little bit, but that's just more like on the romantic side of things, but and grew more in unconditional love and my capacity to I feel like being with a covert narcissist, I reached my capacity, but like I said, I had these situations with my twin that, it was like I couldn't leave that. It was, sometimes it felt a little worse than being with the narcissist, but it was like the mission was different. It wasn't just one-sided completely, even though it felt like it was, but I was in the divine feminine energy, and so my twin is in the masculine energy, and I had to hold space, and that was difficult, but even my own twin had tried to project a lot of things and thought I needed to learn certain things, and they were looking at a past version of me, and there was no sit down and big consent. Like, there were some sit downs, but they weren't specific to what I wanted. And even though my twin was pretty good at reading into what I needed in self-development, but at the same time, a lot of it was projected from their experiences and things they needed to work on, from what they experienced with the leadership they had. I know why, like, why my twin was having that is because they were disappointed in their own leadership, just like I've been disappointed in a lot of my previous leadership, because I'm like, these people were above me in the rank, and they just went to school, and everyone tries to make you feel like you don't belong to go to them schools, and that's why another reason why I try to self-develop myself, because I'm like, the military wasn't trying to pay for me to go to, schools, and there's all these requirements you had to make, and then it was like still political, and it was just ridiculous, and I'm like, what's the point of having the stuff we have if, the models we have in the schools we have, and we got to spend this money, and we hear all this stuff, but then it's like, when I come up there, I'm not getting, even when all my stats were good, I still wasn't getting those opportunities, and it just didn't make sense to me, but yeah, it was frustrating. So I understood my frustration my twin had, because at the same time, my twin was trying to get promoted, and she wasn't having a lot of luck, and so we were in the same boat, and so yeah, a lot of her frustrations were projected at me, and I guess I don't know, at some point she thought that I was like in the spirit, like a puppet in some ways, and I'm just like, that's not how this is gonna go, and I didn't have a way of really saying that a lot of the time, but I was definitely sending the signal, telepathically, because I was like, I get it, like, I've gone through the same thing, but I'm not gonna project that onto someone because I'm upset about how I feel, about not getting those opportunities. Like, yeah, I voiced it, but I try to just create I try to make something better for the next person, which is why I would get frustrated whenever my upper leadership wouldn't even send or care to help me get the things gathered to get my own soldiers in more leadership positions, because they thought they just weren't polished enough, and I just thought that was so wrong, because the military is leadership, and and then they leave and they go out into the world, and it's like, that's not what we should be doing as a and I don't care about the war games, and I don't care about all the other things, But when it comes to raising the energy on this planet, so we all can ascend, that is what I care about. And that does not happen when you are being political and stunting people's growth out of your own bias. And like I had a bias with lieutenants, but that's because they were also in that game of stunting my growth, and they come and yelling at me, and I'm like, we don't do that, sir. We just don't do that, or ma'am, or whatever. I'm here to help you. You help me, and there's just like a lot of miscommunication. Like they didn't even read the book, and I was like, I read the book. Like, did you not get that part? And so they come in like they were, my boss, and I'm like, we work together. We work with each other. We don't work for each other. I mean, that's how I like to do things. And so it was just like being around all these situations, and it's like it was frustrating for me to understand that and to understand like this is not okay. And so I would just try to create those situations for my soldiers, and then even them, because I'm thinking maybe it was just me, they just don't like me, but it was like they just didn't like a certain MOS sometimes, and then you had to have all this stuff. But even if I had a couple soldiers that had great stats, I'm like, they need something to help them, and I sat down and we had consent, there was agreements, and there was talking about this and how we would kind of go about it and what the ideal kind of situation was before I even presented it to higher ups. And so that really got me. And whenever I went through that, I know that there was some other time before me and my twin even like started doing her twin things, that my twin knew what I went through and the situations I was going through. And but my twin also had gone through the same things. And when we crossed paths again, it was like, oh, that's why we were both in some kind of a stuck energy, because something was going on here that wasn't supposed to be going on. And it had to do a lot with our upper leadership. And I don't know if she was super resentful towards that, but I mean, the way I voiced things, it was probably sounded resentful because of my energy, being very intense in those moments before I learned to tone it down. But it was still like, we just like, this is the freaking United States military. It doesn't matter what branch, but the people expect leaders out of production of leaders out of anything. It don't matter, National Guard, Army, active or reserves, or Marines or Navy. It doesn't matter. It's the United States Armed Forces, and we should be producing leaders in all different forms, and let them and their soul, do that journey and create the environments to protect those sacred soul journeys, in awakening, oneself. And so that's a lot of the work I've done that I'm very passionate about. But it was just really ridiculous to know that I was one of the lower ranking individuals. And I was like that when I was in initial training as well. Like I went as a fuzzy, and I thought I was going to go in as at least a 3 or an E4, because I was in this star program, gold star program or something like that. And I was making points, and I just seemed to always be behind the curve. And I was like, am I invisible? Like, how am I not getting promoted? Like, how am I not, like, I'm doing the work, how am I not getting promoted? And like that pattern followed me for a lot through my life. And eventually I was like, I'm done with the the crap is like, everyone thinks I'm like invisible, but it's not like I need validation. It was just like, I'm tired of being unappreciated. I'm tired of putting the work and like someone else getting credit, and like it's just really ridiculous. But it seems to happen to the chosen. So like that's another thing you'll know. Like if you're one of those people out there just really busting it and putting out results, just kicking out result after result, and you're not, you do it so well and you don't get the credit you deserve, you probably are one of the chosen. That, because it's a hard, hard life to live in any kind of situation. It's an energy. It follows you, and it sucks, but you can get out of it. But it's frustrating and annoying. But as long as you're good with yourself, and that's where the self-love stuff comes in, is like when you find something to self-develop, it can even be a language or something, or just reading a book, or just something like that. And I don't like setting goals, I set intentions, but because I feel like it goes farther and helps the flow a lot better. It's not forced feeling, it doesn't have deadlines, but as long as I know that I do it, that seems to help a lot, especially being spiritual. It helps a lot. The divine flow of things, but as long as you're good with just, if you know you're working on you and you're doing the best you can, and you're following on, what kind of partnerships and negative things in partnerships you don't want or don't need, and then setting your boundaries, whether you're a man or a woman, but the feminine energy as a collective, don't have an ego about saving those spaces for those masculine energies. I guess is the second part of that. Today I was going through, I don't know how I got tagged in a comment, because it seems to be happening a lot lately. A lot of times I think it's bots, but whatever. But I got tagged in a comment, and I saw the initial comment was kind of negative, and then the second one was more of on the positive, mostly positive side. But just the narrative someone was using, a female was using, was something to do with teaching someone a lesson, and it's the way it came off. I was like, you should have never go into a situation like, I'm going to teach that person a lesson. Like, just, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, that is just not healthy. That is not healthy. That is so counterproductive, and it's not healthy. And that's why I say consent is a big thing. But then knowing, like when I dealt with a narcissist, and I went in there and I wrote a thing, saying like, I dealt with my narcissist, and I left them with their own thoughts, their own seeds of whatever, and I left at least 3 good seeds, and that was unconditional love, forgiveness, and compassion. And it takes, when you read about gardening, it takes 3 seeds to make a pod. And so I was like, at least I know I left that. But the rest of it is a sack of seeds that they're going to have to figure out for themselves. And it was not my job anymore, and it was not my place to teach them. And even when I would teach my ex things, I didn't do it in a forceful way, like, you're going to have to learn this, which was kind of confusing, because I probably just saw the red flag whenever she was trying to push things at me a lot and be like, you need to learn this and this, but then like when I would try, then, you know, she'd just throw a fit and then, you know, make me feel dumb or something, typical narcissistic stuff. And I was like, well, what was the point of me going and like trying to help, or you help me? Like, I don't know what happened. Like, it would just leave me confused. And for ADHD, I mean, that they made it worse. But yeah, so it didn't, when I saw those comments, I was just like, okay, well, there's something that needs to be taught or brought in a situation, but, you know, just, I have faith and confidence in what I put out, and I don't try to be forceful about it. There are some things I'm firm in, but I mean, you know, I don't expect everyone to, you know, agree with what I have to say. Do I think it would be nice? Yeah, but do I need everyone to? No. Because I know that life is a journey for everyone, and sometimes it's just planting the seed and moving on, and I'm okay with that. Because I got other things to do, like develop myself, and I'm not here to, you know, push anything on anyone, because I know that my words create the environment and the reality that I want to live in, and so I'm confident in the work I have done. And so just as a woman, and divine feminine, there were quite a few things I can say that I brought out in my masculine counterpart. But there's also a point where my masculine counterpart was able to bring out things in me through this journey, but didn't have to be forceful. So we were missing our timelines on that as well, and a lot of it had to do with people that were just knew a past version of me and assumed that because I said, yeah, I haven't changed much, I'm just still the same old me, that meant, oh, she's got a lot of catching up to do. Let's just throw her in the fire, you know. And I felt like that was kind of one of the conversations that happened. It was like, lay it all on her, you know, and taking spiritual bullets, you know. It was like, just like, what in the world? And then yeah, I don't know. It just goes back to all the other things, but just yeah, don't be forceful if you're ever in those situations. That's the beauty of being a woman and having that feminine energy is you know how to create, and you know how you have to use your intuition over your mind, because we know our minds can be irrational, because we're thinkers, you know, as well, and overthinkers, because we have a bigger corpus callosum or whatever they call that thing in the back of our heads that creates just extra fluids, and it, you know, makes our minds go all blah, 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 and just know that I get it. But so lead with your intuition before you start getting in your thoughts and creating bad thought energy, and things become manipulative, and like people don't want that, and that's not what we're trying to lead with going into the future. So yeah, just, you know, take a step back if you need to, because whatever you bring to the table as a woman, it's already in you. And say it's this man and woman, but just as a woman, we already embody that very divine feminine energy of creating and protecting, and that sense of responsibility in society, and leading and leadership. Like, we created that at some point in history. That energy was created, but there wasn't a lot of it. And I don't know if any of y'all watch things having to do with archaeology, but they had found tribes of women who were in Cro-Magnon, or pretty much in the caveman era, and Cro-Magnon era, I think that's what it was. But they found women that were leaders in these tribes of hunters, and society thinks it was just men that did all that, and turns out that's not true. So women also had tribes and were hunters, and very good hunters, and some of them were found with certain pieces on them that showed that they had more kills or more hunts or whatever their badge system worked, that held more than a lot of the men that they found that were hunters back then. So just know there's a lot of feminine energy, historical things coming up now, and that was another thing that inspired me to really focus more on the feminine energy, and how it needs to come back into fruition, and on the quantum level as well, just because that is what is happening, whether I want it to or not. It was already starting to happen, but I recognize the patterns. And whenever I see things coming up from history, because I look at things from all angles, that's like my ADHD superpower, is just finding everything and bringing it all in to culminate it. As I started recognizing, like, these artifacts are being found now. I'm seeing this information. This information came to me electronically through the field, law of attraction, law of reception, whatever you want to call it. And I brought in that information because I needed to see it for a reason. And that's kind of like how the tarot community is like, if you found this, it was meant for you in the time you found it. That's very true. So, but then there's some discernment to have in there, but I ain't getting into that part. That's for another time. But when I realized these patterns, I was like, okay, so yes, this is what I need to be doing. Like, there's a reason why I see this, and this is what I need to develop. This is what I need to work on. You self-develop this, and then once I get done with doing my self-development in this, then I can present it to whoever else needs to hear it. And because now there is YouTube, now I get to, use different platforms to do that. Even though it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's necessary. Will I fall in love with this? I don't know. Was it part of my self-development? Yes. Was it me getting past speaking publicly? Some of it, yes. But, we'll see where it goes, because it's still in development. But these are just kind of some examples of kind of what some of these situations look like, and kind of the reasons, some of the backing behind why I'm sitting here in my car, talking about all this stuff. So So I'm going to continue on here and keep reading. So, where was I at? Responsibility of a woman does not end only with her child. If she has a husband, if she has a man around her, what is she going to do? She is going to evoke or bring out the best in that man year after year. Women can do it. I have seen it happen in many cases. Because of a woman, a man is blooming. Because of a woman, a hospital was different. Because of a woman, a clinic was different. A group was different. Woman has a certain magical, mysterious way in which she evokes the best in man. Woman is more advanced physiologically and spiritually than man. But the best the woman can bring out of the man is the best the woman has in her. She is just like a magnet. For when she touches a man, when she talks to a man, when she smiles at a man, that man feels that he is getting more sublimated, more transformed because of her contact. When we speak of contact, we are not speaking of technique. For example, one day I met a teacher who was teaching the girls how to be magnetic, and she was saying, walk like this, look like this, and fix your hair this way. She was really technically teaching them. Then I asked her, have you had any results? Curiously enough, she said, there were results, but they did not last. This is what I want to know. Why isn't it lasting? Because it is artificial, a technique. A woman must have greatness in her to bring greatness out of others. Woman must build the greatness, build that beauty, build that creative mechanism within herself so that her creative magnetism pulls the beauty out of man. If a man has the magic hand of a woman, the magic love of a woman, he will be transformed. Many, many medical expenses can be spared. Many legal expenses can be stopped if the man has an understanding, compassionate, loving woman who is highly educated and highly transformed in her inner being. The next responsibility of the woman we'll get to that one later. I think I should probably just start reading these all the way through before I give a commentary and stop in the middle of it. I think I'll do that. But yeah, pretty much what I was saying is, and it actually said it better. I probably should have just went with it. But yeah, there has to be a greatness in you to make greatness come out of others, and in order to transform others, and self-developing your own magnetism, which a lot of that is clearing out karma and cleansing your soul and cord cutting. And I just think it was funny that it said magical, mysterious way, because I just saw a reader the day before yesterday come out with something saying something, you're so mysterious. And so a lot of times the cards don't lie, but that's pretty funny though. But yeah, on to the next one.